With the 53rd pick of the 2014 NFL Draft, the 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers select Davante Adams, wide receiver, Fresno State.
If I'm that...
Welcome to DraftKings Omniscience. Omniscience, whatever you want to call it. It's pronounced omniscience, but call it whatever you want. So, week 1, DraftKings, Millionaire Maker, $1 million play action. If you listened to my last video, you learned that in order to win in DraftKings, you have to find players that have value. So this video is going to be all about wide receivers, my top 5 wide receivers that I think are the best value for week 1. Obviously, from the intro you could tell Davante Adams is at the top of the list. And he was on my radar 3-4 weeks ago when the prices came out for week 1 in DraftKings, even before Jordy Nelson went down. But I mean, now that Jordy Nelson is out for the season, this just blows up Davante Adams' value, especially for week 1, but for the whole season. I mean, not just for week 1, for the whole season. So, real quick, I'm going to let you know how it kind of works on DraftKings. Now, DraftKings, when they set the prices for the week, they're set. They're done. They're locked in. So, when they set these prices 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, they were pricing Davante Adams according to him being the number 3 wide receiver on the Green Bay Packers. But now he's the number 2 wide receiver. And I thought he was even worth his price at $4,400 as the number 3 wide receiver. Now that he's in the number 2 wide receiver, he's going to be in 75% to 80% of my lineups. Just, has to be in there. I mean, it's almost hard to not put him in every single lineup. As a professional, that's a bad strategy. I mean, I'm not a professional DraftKings player, fantasy sports player, so I can gamble, how I want or whatever I want to do. So I'll be having Davante Adams in most of my lineups. If you're a professional, you probably wouldn't put Davante Adams in that many lineups, just because you wouldn't be very well spread out. So like if he gets hurt during a game, you're kind of screwed, or if he underperforms, you're kind of screwed. So that's why, like, if you're a pro and you're making 100 lineups, you're not going to have him in every single one. You're going to have him in maybe like 25% at most, given the circumstances. Maybe more, I don't know. I'm not a pro, I just play for fun, so yeah, moving on. Davante Adams, just tons of good stuff was coming out about him even before Jordy Nelson went down. He's building good chemistry with Aaron Rodgers. And this is RotoWorld, by the way, rotoworld.com. Definitely, you got to look this site up if you're going to play on DraftKings this year. You can search for players and they'll give you, quick little synopsis of what's going on with them. So, go on rotoworld.com, search for Davante Adams, check out what they're saying about him, what they said before. He's going to have a big year. And hopefully he's going to have a big week 1, because I'm going to have him in pretty much all my lineups. So, he's the number 1 pick for value for DraftKings week 1. Next up is Terrence Williams. As you can see, Dez Bryant skipped the offseason, so Williams worked at XZ and slot. So he expanded, his route inventory. He's got a lot of opportunities to build chemistry with Tony Romo, and it's his 3rd season. And he got a lot. He got a lot of red zone targets, which is huge. Anytime a wide receiver gets a touchdown, that's 7 points automatically without the yards. 1 point for the reception, 6 points for the touchdown. That doesn't even count the yards. So he got 8 touchdowns during the regular season, but if you go to DraftKings and you search for him, and he's only $4,000 first of all, super cheap. Now if you click on his name, you're going to see all his games from last year, but this includes the postseason games as well. So he had 3 more touchdowns in, the playoffs, which is, I mean, that's another big sign that he's going to get looks his way, especially playing against the New York Giants at home. I mean, at 4,000. Oh, and on top of this, DeMarco Murray is out of Dallas. He's no longer in Dallas, so those extra touches that DeMarco Murray got, they're going to be going to the receivers for sure. All right. Next up, number 3 on my list, Eddie Royal with the Chicago Bears. Again, go to RotoWorld, search for him, look at the stuff they're saying. A lot of good stuff coming out of training camp about him. He's an older receiver, but he's experienced. A lot of good stuff coming out in training camp about him. Plus, what I like about Eddie Royal, not only, of course, is his price, which is what we're finding as value in these players, but they'll be at home, and the Bears will likely be trailing in this game against the Packers. So this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think most people believe this is going to be a high-scoring game. And the Packers are going to put up points, obviously. I don't think the Bears really fix their defense. So that means if they're going to be trailing, the Bears are going to have to be throwing the ball a lot. Which means Eddie Royal's going to get some more looks his way. So is probably Martellus Bennett. And Alshon Jeffrey probably will as well. But Alshon Jeffries hasn't played, he's not going to play any of the preseason, so he might be a little rusty. They might depend a little bit more on Eddie Royal. Who knows? We'll see. But, and Eddie Royal isn't playing the last preseason game. That's a little worrisome, but doesn't seem like it's a big deal. But his price is just very good. He might be in more of like 10% of my lineups or so, whereas Devontae Adams, of course, can be in most of them. Terrence Williams will probably have in like 30% of my lineups. And again, these are players that are for value, so you're not going to pick all these players and not pick. I mean, I'm still going to be picking a top receiver like Julio Jones with these value picks. And I might trade out some of these value picks with other value picks that I find throughout the week. But for now, these are my top value picks. So number 4 on the list is Charles Johnson. It's his second year, and it's his second year with Teddy Bridgewater. He's developing good chemistry with him. Search for him on RotoWorld again, see what they say. I like that he's driven just like Devontae Adams. He really wants to make it in the NFL. He's fast, and he's their number 1 receiver. And on top of that, he had a great preseason game last week. He caught four or five targets for 40 yards and a touchdown. Good stuff. Moving on. My 5th. Oh, first I'm going to show you the price then for Charles Johnson. He is priced at $4,900. Not bad. Not expensive. Not super cheap. Kind of a little bit more mid-range, but still a very good price. So for my 5th choice for value at wide receiver position, I was a little torn between Kenny Stills and Victor Cruz. And I'll just go over these two real quick. I like Kenny Stills because the matchup is very good. He's playing against the Washington Redskins, and the Redskins got destroyed in deep passes last season, and that is Kenny Stills' expertise. He is the deep ball threat. So the benefit to that is he could catch 2 deep balls early on and be worth like 30 points right away. But the downside to that is that if the Dolphins get up early, they're not really going to need to throw the ball deep. So that kind of takes away his potential for making a bunch of points. But anything can happen. The other downside maybe to Kenny Stills is that the Dolphins' offense is very well rounded. They have Lamar Miller, Jarvis Landry, Greg Jennings, and then Jordan Cameron that they can throw to as well. So his targets are going to be a bit more spread out than the other players I've talked about, I think. But at the same time, he could be worth a lot. He's a boom or bust player. He's either going to be worth a lot of points, I think, or not very many at all. So, use caution when putting him in some of your lineups. Also, he's had some injury issues throughout the preseason, but it looks like he's moved on from that. So I was kind of torn between him and Kenny Stills is at 4,700, which is a very good price, and Victor Cruz. Now, it's going to be interesting to see this game and see how Victor Cruz plays. Obviously they're going to be targeting Odell Beckham Jr. Most of the game, but defenses are also going to flock to Odell Beckham Jr. just because of how talented he is. And the other thing is that Victor Cruz isn't. He's another player that isn't. He's going to miss the preseason, but he will play Week 1. So he's on track for Week 1. So it'll just be interesting to see how defenses play against the Giants, if they're going to double coverage Odell Beckham Jr. and make it really tough for him to get balls. So then they'll have to throw to either Cruz or Ruben Randall. But I think that could be the case. So at 5,100, I'm willing to take Victor Cruz in several of my lineups. I'm not sure how many, but he'll definitely be in a decent amount of my lineups. So yeah, so that wraps up my top picks for wide receiver position, Week 1, NFL, DraftKings,